Okay, so I'll start with a new term today, matrix diagonalization using matrix decomposition. Okay, so what we are going to learn today is matrix diagonalization using matrix decomposition. So this is a new term. This is a new thing that you guys will be learning. Before this, whatever you guys learned, except for eigenvalues and eigenvectors, I think most of the concepts you already knew from your college days. So this will be a little new subject. So you have to pay proper attention to it, and from here on there will be a lot of new things. Okay, so we need special attention. Cannot take it for granted. Okay. Suppose we have a matrix A. Okay, we have a matrix A which has n eigenvalues. Okay, which has n eigenvalues. Say x1, x2, x3, like this eigenvectors. So let us there is a matrix A and it has n eigenvectors. Okay, where the uh, so where each of the eigenvector is independent of each other. Okay, so these are independent eigenvectors. Okay, so you remember, right, what is independent and dependent. So that means no eigenvector is a linear combination of the other eigenvectors. So there is a matrix A and the matrix A has n eigenvectors. Now if I stack these eigenvectors in a matrix P, okay, horizontally, okay, each eigenvector is like this. It's a vertical vector, and I stack all these vectors one after another in a horizontal manner. Then what do I get? I get a matrix. Okay, I get a matrix. So let P that be that matrix. So I have a matrix P where I have stacked all the eigenvectors of independent eigenvectors of A in a horizontal manner. Okay. So if the dimension of any one eigenvector is m, if the dimension of any one, so say x1 is equal to x1, x2, like this xm. If any one eigenvector is of dimension m, then what will be the dimension of this one? This one will be n m cross n matrix, right? This will be an m cross n matrix. So P is a matrix which is composed of the eigenvectors of A stacked horizontally. Okay. Now let me multiply A on both sides of the equation. So AP is equal to A and x1, like this. Okay, I can do that. So or otherwise I can write AP is equal to AX1, AX2, AX3 till AXN, multiplying A with each of the eigenvectors. Now who can say what I can write in place of AX1?
I think it is equals to uh, lambda
Good,
ax equal to lambda x. Yeah. Yeah.
good, very good. So you can write lambda 1 x1, lambda 2 x2, lambda 3 x3 till lambda n xn, because AXI is always equal to lambda I xi. Okay, where I is 1 to n. Since all the x are a eigenvector of A, so there will be a corresponding eigen value of that A also, right? Which are lambda 1, lambda 2. So in place of axi, I can write lambda x1, x2 like this. Okay. Now, as per matrix multiplication, I can write this as AP is equal to x1, x2, x3, xn into one diagonal matrix composing of lambda 1, lambda 2, lambda 3 till lambda n. Can I write this or not? All the other, here everything is 0, here everything is 0. Can I write like this or not? If your matrix multiplication is clear, then you will understand that this can be written. Okay, so if you multiply this matrix with this matrix, then ultimately you will get the same matrix lambda 1 x1 lambda 2 x2. Okay, so I have just decomposed that matrix into two parts using matrix multiplication. Okay, now what is this? What is this? Who can say?
Eigenvectors of the particular elements, particular matrix.
Yes, what is that called? What do you have taken here?
P.
Correct. Is P. Right? In the starting point only we said stacking all the eigenvectors of a matrix horizontally is a matrix, another matrix called P. Okay, and let's call this matrix D. D for diagonal. So this is a diagonal matrix where everything else is 0 except the diagonal elements, and the diagonal elements are the eigenvalues of the matrix A. Now the order has to be maintained. If here you have taken x1 first, then you have to take lambda 1 there, then x2, then lambda 2 like this. Since when you multiply it, it should come as x1 lambda 1, sorry, lambda 1 x1, lambda 2 x2 like this. Okay. So finally we have AP is equal to PD. Okay. So I can write A is equal to PD into P inverse. Okay. So finally I can write A is equal to PD into P inverse. Okay. And everybody please mute. There's a lot of sound. So A is equal to PD P inverse. Now this is called the matrix eigen decomposition. Okay. Matrix eigen decomposition. Can anybody tell me why is it called eigen decomposition? Why is it called an eigen decomposition? Because you see on the RHS, whatever we have, we have P.
Everything is eigenvector or value.
Yes. So everything is either a eigenvector or a eigenvalue. Good, Abhinandan. It looks like you have done good revision. So on the RHS side, everything is either a eigenvector or a eigenvalue. So that means we have decomposed our matrix into eigenvectors or eigenvalues, which is a very important thing, because we don't need our original matrix anymore, and in the place of that I can just use a decomposed matrix which is composed of the eigenvectors and eigenvalues. in future this decomposition will give us a lot of help. Okay, so this is a very important decomposition. You have to remember. What is the only condition in this decomposition to be true? This entire decomposition, what is the only condition that needs to be true? The P inverse should exist. Remember, whenever you study matrices and whenever you encounter any term as inverse, okay, you have to raise a question that, okay, it is talking about inverse, but inverse is not always present, right? As you can remember from Gauss-Jordan elimination, most of the matrices will not have an inverse, okay, because after Gauss-Jordan elimination, you will see that one of the rows becomes completely zero. Okay, in that case there is no inverse. Now, when can a matrix have no inverse? What is the condition for the matrix to have no inverse?
When there is dependency.
Correct. Very good. Very good. So when there is any dependent column or row in the matrix, then our Gauss-Jordan elimination will ultimately result in a full zero row, and hence we cannot proceed further, and hence we will tell that there is no inverse. So that means in here the matrix P should be composed of all independent vectors, otherwise there will be no inverse. And what does P contain? P contain all the eigenvectors of the matrix A. So that is what I said in the initial first time.
Yeah, initially you told, right, P should be the
correct.
Just eigenvector.
I was cross-checking. I was cross-checking if you guys remember that fact or not. Okay. So this is the reason that P should have all the eigenvectors as independent. If P inverse was not involved, then we could have P as a matrix with independent eigenvectors. But since there is a P inverse involved in the decomposition, we cannot take it for granted. We have to make sure that P inverse exists every time. And to make sure P inverse exists every time is that we should have all independent eigenvectors. And how do we choose about independent eigenvectors? How do you make sure that the matrix has all independent eigenvectors? Come on, by taking its rank, Gaussian elimination. By doing the Gaussian elimination of that matrix, and if I see the rank is less than the number of columns of the matrix, then there is a dependency, right? So that is the way we will make sure that there is independent eigenvectors or not. Can we know from the eigenvalues that there is independent eigenvectors or not? Can we know from the eigenvalues that there is independent eigenvectors or not? Remember the rules I said? If a matrix A has all distinct eigenvalues, then it will definitely have all independent eigenvectors. So if a matrix A has all distinct eigenvalues, means that eigenvalues are not repeated. Okay? So this eigenvalue is what? A scalar number. So the scalar number should not be repeated. If a matrix A has all distinct eigenvalues, then it will definitely have all independent eigenvectors. That is a rule. So one shortcut is that find the eigenvalues of a matrix and see that they are repeated or not. If they are not repeated, then you are 100% sure that all the eigenvectors will be independent, and hence I can do a P D P inverse decomposition. The eigen decomposition I can make. But if you see that a matrix has repeated eigenvalues, so then what is the law? If A has repeated eigenvalues, then it may or may not have all independent eigenvectors. So when matrix A has repeated eigenvalues, it may or may not have independent eigenvectors. So then what happens if you see repetition in eigenvalues, then you have to go ahead and solve the eigenvectors. Then you have to make sure from there that they are independent. But if they are distinct, eigenvalues are distinct, then you can by default, without any calculation, without any thinking, you can 100% tell that the eigenvectors of that particular matrix are also independent, and hence we can have a P inverse eigen decomposition of the matrix. Okay, these are some ways to confirm that whether we can do a matrix decomposition, eigen decomposition of the matrix or not. Okay. Okay. Now some facts. Okay. So you guys know about complex eigenvalues and eigenvectors, right? Like for rotation matrix, there is a complex eigenvalue and eigenvectors, right? So you have to remember that the complex conjugates. I don't know if you remember about conjugates. So if a complex number is like 2 plus 3i, then its conjugate is 2 minus 3i. Okay. One matrix is 0 plus I, sorry, one complex number, then its conjugate is 0 minus I, or you can say I and minus I. Okay. So conjugates is this way. So these are called conjugates of complex numbers. So rule says that if a matrix A has one complex eigenvalue, if a matrix has one complex eigenvalue, then its conjugate will also be an valid eigenvalue for the matrix. Okay. For example, if A has a eigenvalue of 2i, then minus 2i is also an eigenvalue of A for sure. Okay. Now this eigenvalue will have a corresponding complex eigenvector. Let's say it is 3 plus 4i. This is the complex eigenvector. Okay. Because each eigenvalue comes with the eigenvector pair. So if 2i is the eigenvalue, then there will be corresponding eigenvector also for 2i. Let's say it is 3 plus 4i. So this one also, this is conjugate also will be a valid eigenvector. Okay. So 3 minus 4i will also be a valid eigenvector for the matrix A, and this one will be paired with this one. Okay. So this is a law that if a matrix A has one complex eigenvalue, then what do we know from this? Two things. Since there is an eigenvalue, there is an eigenvector. If the matrix A it is a complex eigenvalue, then we will have a complex eigenvector. Then the complex eigenvalues conjugate is also a valid eigenvalue for A, and the complex eigenvector related to the complex eigenvalue all conjugate is also a valid eigenvector for A. And the conjugate of the vector and the conjugate of the value are both the eigenvector pair for A. Okay, so this is a thing that you have to remember. So a tricky question around this is there is the matrix A 3 cross 3. Okay, can A have 3 complex eigenvalues? Can A have 3 complex eigenvalues?
Yes, it can.
No, it cannot.
Right. So it has to have one real and 2 complex, because the complex eigenvalues comes in pairs, conjugates, right? If suppose the real eigenvalue is 5 and one complex eigenvalue is 2i, then definitely there will be another complex eigenvalue which is minus 2i, right? So it cannot have all 3 as complex eigenvalues, right? If this one also was complex, say 5i, then there should have been another minus 5i. So it would have become 4 eigenvalues, right? So this matrix will always have one real and 2 complex. Got it, Abhinandan?
Yes, I got confused. Yeah.
Okay. So this is about our real and complex conjugates. Okay. Now, one last concept for the day: matrix powers. Okay, matrix powers. Okay, this is also very useful topic in calculating. When in higher classes you will be solving things, this is a very important concept. So if I ask, there is a matrix A, and if I ask you to calculate A to the power 10, okay. So today what you will do, you will multiply A 10 times, okay. Like this, 10 times you will multiply A, which is really boring, time taking, and even it is a time taking operation for a computer. Okay, because matrix multiplication is not simple. It requires a lot of steps, right? So A to the power 10 is really boring. Is there any quicker way we can do it? Okay, let's assume that the matrix A has all independent eigenvectors. Then I can decompose A as PD P inverse. Okay, and then I can write A square is equal to PD P inverse into PD P inverse, right? And I can see that P inverse and P, what will be P inverse and P?
Identity matrix.
Good. So this one will be an identity matrix. Okay. So what will happen? A square is equal to P D square P inverse, right? So D into D will become D square. I is identity, anyways we can remove it because anything multiplied with identity matrix is the same. So going by that law, we can see that A to the power k is equal to P into D to the power k P inverse. Okay. Only if the matrix A has all independent eigenvectors. So if A has all independent eigenvectors, then A to the power k is actually P into D to the power k P minus 1. Now you may ask, what is the benefit? Because we still have to calculate the power of D. Okay, D is also a matrix, diagonal matrix, and we have to calculate its multiplied 10 times. What is the benefit here? So the benefit here is any diagonal matrix you consider, A, B, 0, 0, this is simplest diagonal matrix, A, B, 0, 0. So you're multiplying it with each other. We'll see that this is equal to a square 0 0 b square. Okay. So this is the beauty of, I'm not writing the steps of the matrix multiplication because I assume you guys understand that. But if you apply column method, row method, dot product, cross product, block multiplication, all those 5 methods you apply, you will get the same result. So it has been observed that it is very easy raising the power of diagonal matrices as it is directly equal to raising the power of its diagonal values. Okay, so that means a to the d to the power k will be equals to lambda 1 to the power k, lambda 2 to the power k, and dot 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 lambda n to the power k. Okay, so all will be 0 here. Okay, it is that easy. Okay, so that means it becomes really easy for me to calculate the power of a matrix. So a to the power k is equal to p into d to the power k into p inverse. So I have to just calculate the eigenvalues, eigenvectors, and then I have to raise the power of d k times, which is raising all the eigenvalues k times, and then multiplying all of this, I will get a to the power k. So this is very easy. It becomes very easy. But you have to remember that this is only possible, only possible if our matrix is having independent eigenvectors. Otherwise, this is not possible. Okay. So anybody has any doubts until now? Okay then, if no doubts, let us try to solve one question. Okay, let A is a matrix which is 2 1 minus 1 0 1 0 1 2 minus 2. This is a matrix A. Okay, get me A to the power 50. Cool. Any doubt, anybody? Understand the question? I have a matrix A. I want to get A to the power 50. Okay. Let's see who solves it first. Okay.